Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. We're here talking to Morgan. She is our Miss Earth Belize contestant. She is on her journey to the crown, and so we want to spend some time to get to know her better and talk about her platform. But before we start, Oceana is big on fun facts. We love fun facts. So tell us something about you that maybe everyone might not know.
Sure. Well, first of all, let me thank you for having me here and giving me the opportunity to talk more about my advocacy and my journey going forward. But let's get into this fun fact. So, a fun fact about me would be that I am a sustainable farmer. My advocacy this year is conservation and sustainability. So I am not only a female farmer, I am also a passionate advocate in the fishing industry as a female angler in Belize.
I wouldn't think of a pageant girl as a female angler and as a farmer. This is very, very different from what you would expect. Or
Right.
maybe I just don't know and I'm probably just judging from the crown, but that's so interesting. What drew you to that?
So I think growing up in Belize, I always knew that I wanted to do a pageant, but I just wasn't quite sure which pageant it was gonna be. So when I started looking closer at it, I really knew that I wanted to make a difference in whatever I did. So Miss Earth kind of popped up, and Miss Earth stands for intelligence and really hands-on girls in the environment doing different things. So I think everything just kind of aligned right, and it was the perfect pageant for me.
That's so cool. So if you could go back and tell the childhood version of you anything, what would that be?
If I had to go back and tell my childhood version of me anything, I'd probably tell myself, just keep pushing forward. You will be faced with many days that you feel lost or you feel as though you're failing in life, but I would say just keep pushing forward. Where there's a will, there's a way. You will always figure it out, and stand up for what you believe in. If sustainable farming and conservation, obviously is something that I believe in, keep forward, keep pushing forward, and keep encouraging others around you.
That's excellent.
Yes.
I hope little Morgan is listening.
I hope so.
All right, so let's get into your advocacy.
Sure.
So let's talk about what the environment in Belize right now. What do you think are some of the biggest environmental issues that we're facing in Belize?
So I think one of the biggest environmental issues that we're facing is water pollution. There has been a lot of toxic waste from big companies in Belize that has been running off into different waterways and river systems, and I think there isn't enough being done to kind of control that. So if there was any kind of advice that I would give to, I guess, the government, if we want to put it that way, would be, let's put in more rules and regulations to enforce these companies to keep our waters cleaner.
Yes, definitely a push for enforcing regulations. A lot of the conversations that we have with our partners, with members of the public, with fishers,
Right.
it's always coming back to enforcing regulations.
Right.
If we're going to have these regulations in place, we have to enforce them so that we can have
Right.
a healthier fisheries in our
Right.
country.
And I mean, I must say that Oceana has been doing such a great job with kind of keeping the public just knowledgeable and trying to hold different seminars and workshops for the people to educate the public about why there's a need for keeping the oceans clean and keeping the land clean. And so kudos to Oceanas for doing that.
Thank you. We do try our best along with our supporters and
Yes.
our wave makers.
Yes, hands down, the AGM the other day with all of the wave makers was amazing. I personally didn't even realize that there were so many wave makers on the Oceana team in Belize, so that's amazing. Hands down to all of our wave makers.
Thank you on behalf of our wave makers.
Yes.
Belize is known for its rich marine biodiversity, including our barrier reef system.
Right.
What are some of the steps that have been taken to protect our marine resources from threats like overfishing and pollution?
So Belize has put in a lot of great catch and release rules in both flats fishing and deep sea fishing all around Belize, which has been amazing. We have been seeing a lot larger numbers of schools around Belize. There has also been greater marine protected areas Especially in Turnef Atoll, for example, there is a huge protected area out there, I should say, and the NASA grouper numbers have been through the roof when it comes to their spawning, which can only be because of all of these regulations that have been put in place. There has also been a lot of coastal development projects that have been put on hold or have been stopped completely because for one of them, Belize said no to offshore drilling.
Yeah, the people's law. The people said no to offshore oil. That is still one of our biggest campaigns at OCEANA. And when you talk to Belizeans all over the country, they will always tell you about that.
Right.
Belizeans are against offshore oil. We need to protect our precious marine resources,
Yes.
and that would definitely be one of the largest threats.
Yes.
What role does sustainable fishing practices play in protecting Belize's marine life, and how can local communities play a role in this?
So sustainable fishing plays a huge role in Belize. Sustainable fishing, like I said, or we spoke about, there has been a lot of catch and release put in place. So all of this kind of benefits Belize as tourism is one of the biggest sectors in Belize. So when people are coming in to fish on the flats or in the deep sea, the fish numbers are there, the population is there, and it's growing and thriving. Our marine ecosystems are growing and thriving because of the protection, for example, on the mangroves that we have. They aren't being harmed, they've stopped cutting of the mangroves, so all of this has been building our fish population. Our local communities now come into play because the more we educate our local communities and the more we hold workshops for them to kind of hands-on experiences with the OCEANA team or with the people around Belize, it only benefits us because it educates them more. It helps the fish population more because they're seeing the need as to why we need to conserve and why we need to protect.
Definitely, definitely. One of our first victories here in Belize was the ban on trawling.
Right.
And a few years later, there was the ban on the use of gill nets in Belize's
Yes.
waters. And, you know, everything was a process. Like you said, it was
Right.
a process to educate the public, to talk to them about why these are not considered sustainable fishing practices.
Right.
And, you know, it's so good to know that the government saw this, that they listened to the
Right.
people, and that these forms of harmful fishing practices have been banned in Belize's waters.
Right. And even when it comes to the local community involvement, I mean, having these people come in and help create these rules and regulations, having them come together and see the need as to why there should be a more tight, more enforcement on the gillnet ban, why people need to follow it, is super important for our livelihood, for the fishing industry to continue and keep growing.
Definitely. Plastic pollution is a global concern. Belize is definitely not an exception to
Right.
this. So are you aware of any initiatives that are currently in place in Belize that are trying to address the
Right.
issue of plastic pollution in our marine and coastal areas?
So Belize has been enforcing a lot of waste management control, which they have been trying to really push for the people to recycle and reuse different plastics or waste that they may have. However, OCEANA has stood out the most by really pushing their ban of single-use plastics around Belize. This is definitely something that can only benefit the country. The world should kind of look onto little Belize as an example of banning the single-use plastics. OCEANA has done great by doing their cleanup campaigns around the city, which I actually took part in doing some of the cleanup campaigns, as I would like to say it's one of my little hobbies that I do now.
We also have our green vendor list. It can be accessed on our website, and it highlights businesses across Belize that are implementing different eco-friendly initiatives in their everyday practices at their businesses. And that can be accessed, like I said, on our website. You can see the list of these businesses that you can
Great.
support. And if anyone has any other businesses that they know of that are implementing different practices and they want to add that, they could contact us, and that list can get longer, and that's a great thing.
There you go, guys. Make sure you check it out on the OCEANA website.
what environmental policies or legislation would you like to see strengthened or implemented in Belize to better protect our natural resources?
I would love to see our coastal zone management rules and regulations be strengthened. I think it is essential for the growth of Belize. It is something that more people need to be knowledgeable about, more people need to stand behind and enforce. Like we talked about earlier in the interview, having our local communities come together and help enforce these laws will only benefit the country. I would also love to see more use of sustainable farming countrywide. I know there are a couple different areas in Belize specifically that are not using any sort of sustainable farming, and it has become very detrimental to our water systems, the land. There has been a lot of dead trees found. So I think if Belize were to push more sustainable farming, it would only better the country.
So here at Oceana, we have our current campaign, Constitutional Reform, and we made recommendations to the PCC to have included in their recommendations to the cabinet the inclusion of environmental rights in our constitution. As it is right now, we don't have any environmental rights, which is kind of crazy as Belize, a country who relies so heavily on our natural environment for our livelihoods, for tourism. We deserve to have healthy, quality environment. And also, even more importantly, our people deserve to have a say in the decisions that are being made that impact our environment. So major coastal development projects like cruise ports. And I know earlier you mentioned about clearing of mangroves for different development projects along our coast, on our islands. So we want that there will be binding referenda in our constitution that requires the people to have a say before these major coastal developments can be allowed.
And I think that is great. I mean, again, hands down to Oceana for pushing this. It's definitely important that we listen to what our people are saying, we involve our people in decisions that we're making, and that it is mutually beneficial for the people of Belize and not just the people in power.
All right, final question. So, what are you looking forward to the most when you get to the Philippines?
When I get to the Philippines, I am most excited to just completely immerse myself into the culture. I think that the Philippines is a beautiful country. I have only ever seen it in pictures so far, so actually getting to go there is going to be amazing. And definitely standing up and representing Belize as best as I can. I think I am probably more excited than immersing myself in the culture is just standing up for Belize and representing Belize as best as I can. There is so much that needs to be said about sustainability and conservation, not only in Belize but around the world. And I feel as though if little me can go on that stage and kind of spread the word and let people know why there's an importance for it, is definitely something that sets me apart and brings joy to me every day.
Well, we're definitely excited. We are behind you 100%, supporting you, and we can't wait to see you grace that stage.
Thank you.
You're going to do an amazing job.
Thank
so
you.
Congratulations for making it this far, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having this interview with me. It has been great, and I look forward to hopefully doing more collaborations with Oceana in the future.
And there you have it, our Miss Earth Belize contestant for this year. Follow her on social media, follow her journey. She's been doing such an amazing job, and I know she's going to make Belize proud. Thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching, and please remember, if you ever need something cold to drink, please stop by at Spoona's Cafe.
Yes, big up to Spoona's.